Hello there. Welcome back to our Alpine speedrun. We're kind of nearing the end of this series, honestly, because once we finish this season, next season is probably going to be smooth sailing, so we'll kind of speed through it. But there are 6 races remaining, including 3 sprints. We're about to start the first of those 3 sprints here at Coda. Unless I'm misremembering, I'm pretty sure it should be a sprint weekend. Just going to double check, because I do have a tendency to self-doubt. I'm not 100% certain. And the survey says, yeah, sprint weekend. This, Brazil, and the Sale, which means that there are actually 9-ish races remaining of the season. We're probably going to split that up into 2 episodes. But yeah, we're nearing the end. We have a 124-point gap down to Red Bull. We have a 50-point lead over Piastri in the championship. And honestly, Singapore last time around was an insane kind of clown show that I really shouldn't have come out ahead of. But we did, and I still can't really get over that. Now, with that said, as I mentioned here, we are getting very close now to basically the final half, well, not the final half, final quarter, and we're just going to jump directly into Austin. It's going to be a sprint race. We should, in theory, perform well there, as long as we take care of our tires and make sure that we don't, waste them. It should be a very good race weekend for us. Now, we do get a very good event here, the Science Center Improvement, which gives us extra slots. We are unfortunately incapable of taking advantage because the condition of our facilities aren't good enough. So we're going to go ahead and deny budget. But it kind of does tell you that it is somewhat important to refurbish your design center every now and again, because having 2 extra slots, particularly in this season, would actually be kind of huge. So it is what it is. We'll just have to eat that loss. It is what happens. I haven't actually upgraded the race sim to the maximum level yet, also because our drivers just can't really take advantage. They don't have a lot of development going for them. So that is why we're taking a little bit slower there. Now I'm going to refurbish these 2 buildings because they're really cheap to refurbish. And I do believe that we might start considering upgrading the suspension sim and maybe the car part test center going into next season. But for now, we are just going to speed along until we get to the next Grand Prix in the United States. We're not going to get any research done before that, so let's just head right into Coda and see what it has to offer us. Sprint quali made things interesting as Norris got taken out there in a very interesting manner, to put it lightly. Another driver had an incident, took out Norris, and the replay didn't actually catch all of it. But that's a red flag, and that is both Red Bulls out, because we're currently in Q2. Prix took out Norris. Oh, I shouldn't have sent him out. My mistake. But yeah. Prix took out Norris. What is this save? Because as you can see, there's no signs he bowled out. Are we going to have a case where no one does quality? There we go. They're going to block my boys off. This could be bad for us. But yeah, Norris got assassinated, basically, by Prix. And I don't know how to feel about this. Because I would love to see that again. Like, what happened to Prix? He's out, so I don't know if he spun and hit him, but it looks like he came in from the side, so I assume it was something a little bit more violent than that.
Brilliant, good job. Nice and steady on the
let's see. Yeah, you boys are still in your in-laps. Ocon might be out here. Gasly might also be out. We'll have to see, though. There's 3 places. Gasly's actually kind of safe. Ocon is not. So yeah, Ocon got screwed over by traffic, basically. But again, I'm just so sad out by what happened to Prix and Norris here, because help. The championship. That's damage to Norris's car. That's the weirdest part too. I've never seen a crash like that at quali before. I'm bamboozled. You can probably tell by the time that I'm still going on about it. But I'm bamboozled. Let's see if anything like that happens again. Well, the sprint didn't have much to offer here. We used our basically still balanced strategy, so to speak, with light tires, and now we are on the attack. And as you can see, with 3 laps to go here, we have a 20% tire advantage over the cars around us. And with that, We should now be able to allow Gasly to overtake and get by the leaders here in Leclerc and Piastri. And it should also allow Ocon to overtake Norris and maybe even hunt down a Ferrari or two. So far it's looking very, very good. Gas against both of his overtakes done. And now we can basically try and create a little bit of gap here in the twisty section. And that's already happened. We're already almost 2 seconds ahead of Piastri in just one sector. So kind of tells you just how quick we really are here. For Ocon, we're going to deploy a little bit here, see if we can get away from Norris. We don't really want to help pull him along to Hamilton, although that is basically what is happening at the moment. And with basically 2 laps, soon to be 2 laps to go here, I don't think Ocon can really improve much more. But it's been a very, very good sprint here for us. It's actually going to help out immensely in the sense that both Red Bulls are finishing in a worse spot than we are. That's number 1. But also number 2, Gasly is finishing first. And I don't know exactly if Norris picked up any damage. We can take a quick look here and see what his car is currently made of. He does have a new gearbox, so we might see a penalty for the race, I guess. Which would be interesting. No way that Ocon catches Leclerc here 5 seconds in 1 lap. It just isn't doable. What we need from Ocon here is actually to retake the first place position. If possible. And I think it should be. We have energy. Hamilton is definitely pushing right now, but Ocon with DRS, with slightly better tires, with a full complement of energy, should be able to get that, but he actually doesn't. So we didn't actually break away clearly when we had the tire advantage. And unfortunately, that's going to turn out to be a little bit of a punishment here. But Gasly wins. Ocon comes in 5th. And we might see a penalty for Norris for the race itself, which would be huge. For now, though, we're going to get the qualifying done and prepare for the race on Sunday.
And there he is, Pierre Gasly. Today's...
We've had a fairly good start here to the race itself. We're currently running 3rd and 5th after qualifying 5th and 6th. And as you can see here, both Piastri and Sainz have basically destroyed their tires. And while Norris didn't get a penalty for a new component, I still say we're in a good position here, as 2 of these guys are going to have to pit very soon. And they're going to end up in some interesting traffic potentially with Russell and Drugovic. So that could slow them down, as both Sainz and Piastri does pit. And we now are free to chase down Norris and try and get something good out of this race weekend. As things currently stand, we are getting very close here to pitting, and we're going to do the same here with Ocon probably on the following lap. But what we're going to do here is actually we're going to be pitting Gasly this lap. We have a hard, intermediate, into hard strategy here, which is going to be very effective. Less effective is Ocon's because he doesn't have 2 hards, but he's been able to keep up, so it's not really a bad thing. Now, the plan here is very simple. We are going to be pitting Gasly this lap, as mentioned, in hopes of undercutting Norris. He's going to be staying out for a couple more laps, most likely is what I assume, unless he pits now. And we're going to try and see if Gasly can maybe get the undercut going. Traffic is going to be a little bit of an issue here, but we might be good enough here that we actually come out ahead of Hamilton. We did. We actually looked like we kind of speed hacked there for a little second, to be fair. That was a very quick exit. But Gasly now finds himself behind Leclerc, and once the tires up to temperature and we catch up, we can probably use our excessive energy storage here to get the overtake done. And then we have 5 seconds worth of free air up to Sainz and Piastri, who did pit a little bit earlier than us, so that should be just fine. But yeah, I believe we've already undercut Norris somewhat. It's just a 19-second pit lane, so it's going to be very close. But Gasly has in fact undercut Norris, and once we clear, as mentioned, Leclerc here, get a little bit further up the road, things are going to be a lot easier. So let's see what Gasly can do now. I think that pass is basically a done deal. Question now is, can we actually create a gap to Leclerc? Because we don't want to help him on those hard tires. We just want to make a gap, get away. And that's exactly what we're going to try and do now. We've actually caught up to the lead at this point, and Sainz is going to be pitting very, very soon. That's going to, again, open up the front a little bit here, but I don't think Sainz is going to go to the end on whatever tire he goes on to next. If he does, they're going to be basically destroyed by the end of this race anyway, so he might be looking at another 2 stops, which is going to make things extra spicy for us since we're only planning 1 more. Now, we're also in a very interesting position strategically here because, as you can see, we're running with both Red Bulls. So, Gasly creating a gap here and getting away is actually going to be fairly huge. Norris is also on a soft tire, which means that he's going to be somewhat slow. So, it's a very, very weird situation. Is Ocon going to go for the double overtake? No, just one at the moment. But yeah, it's... we find ourselves in a bit of a weird space here where we might actually be in contention for a 1-2 finish, which, as mentioned, would be huge. I don't think we can get away from Norris, though, so we'll just have to run with him. But we have gotten away from Sainz, and we have gotten away from Leclerc, so in one sense of the word, we have actually accomplished our mission, so we're just going to speed along here till the next pit stop. We have a virtual safety car, and with that, things do become a little bit spicier. So Bottas has crashed out.
Let's have a look at the action. It's all at the final corner. And oh, there's contact with the barrier.
Not a super hard hit, but enough that the car would be undrivable. Now, interestingly enough, Norris pitted just a lap before. We could actually undercut Norris here if we really, really wanted to. And in terms of time saved, we save about 4 seconds by pitting under a virtual safety car. Now, if we go into our strategy here, would it be worth pitting a little bit earlier and run aggressive till the end? Potentially, yes. Potentially, yes, this would be a little bit faster. And I think we'll do it for one car. Basically, we're going to be splitting them up a little bit here. I think Gasly can handle the tires better than Ocon can. And if the virtual safety car lasts for more than one lap, we might pit both. But because they're inside of each other right now, I think we're going to go ahead and pit Ocon and hope that he comes out ahead of... Wait, who's actually, like... Who of my boys are actually in charge of the championship? It is Gasly at the moment. I really should prioritize him. But I think having fresher tires later is going to be more important. So in that sense, we are prioritizing him. But yeah, Ocon now. Let's see if you can actually get out of the pits before Norris gets here. Leclerc pits out in behind us. He might go onto a medium to the end, and he does. Norris is running down the pit lane. Did we beat him to the line? I need a camera to get on that because I'm pretty sure we were ahead of him by the line there. So this could also potentially end Ocon's race to some degree because he might not be able to keep up. Porsche should have pitted, I feel. Sainz and Piastri are going to have to pit again. It's 20 laps. So anything that we do at the moment is going to be hugely rewarded later on. Okay, virtual safety car is still ongoing. I think with Gabble we get Gasly in as well. We might not get the full benefit of the virtual safety car. But if we can stick both cars with Norris, we can run lighter than he, manage our tires better, and get him by the end that way. That's a slow stop too. That's bad. That means Gasly is not going to come out ahead. That's a bit of a shame. Oh, he overtook under virtual safety car. Ref. My boy just overtook my teammate under virtual safety car. But yeah, this is a bit of a problem. We have another yellow flag. Rick and Alonso by the looks of it, maybe. No, it's actually Schumacher.
Now we're at turn 11 now.
Schumacher needs his cameo.
And there's the lockup. But that's just the risk.
Probably the simplest Schumacher cameo in a while. But yeah, we are a couple seconds off Norris. Both Piastri and Sainz are going to have to pit again. They might go for another soft tire, which means they could still be dangerous. But for us, we need to try and ensure that Norris doesn't actually get away. So we're going to try and push. We're going to be changing a little bit back and forth here in terms of who rides ahead. It's going to be pushing their DRS. And we're going to see if we can catch the Norris again. That's going to be the key. And again, I'm just going to do this like I'm doing now. Once one overtakes with DRS, we have him push energy. Although in this case, it looks like Ocon might be left behind, so we might need him to push a little bit as well. Both Piastri and Sainz have now pit. Sainz did elect to go for that soft tire, 12 laps. He has about 10 seconds up to us, which is very, very doable. And in Piastri's case, he went for a medium tire, but he's also catching us, and it's going to be fairly competitive by the end of this. Norris has just been flying, as you can see, 35 threes. We're currently doing some pretty slow laps. Both Gasly and Norris and Ocon has been held up by backmarkers. Tremendously so. We've lost about 2 to 3 seconds for both cars on backmarkers over the last couple of laps, which has put us in a bit of a trickier position. But if we can also use now Piastri maybe as a bit of a tow, have him spend more of his medium, that would help. But yeah, we need to try and get both cars on the podium here. It's going to keep the championship dream alive. So we've had a small incident here with Sargent and a Red Bull as he was getting lapped. That is going to hurt Sainz's tires a little bit, which kind of puts him out of contention. Now, we have been able to keep Piastri at bay by running 1-2s here, but honestly, there isn't really much we can do, I think, to catch Norris. We've kind of let him go here a little bit too early. We needed to have a bit more fresher tires to actually hunt him down. The DRS back and forth is definitely hurting us. So for Norris here, who also just got DRS there from a back marker, catching him is probably going to be a little bit of a pipe dream. We can, of course, use energy to try and hunt him down. But right now, I think we need to save that energy a little bit too, in case we needed to protect against Piastri. And to be fair, energy usage around here can help out it quite a bit. But in this case, I don't think we're going to be seeing it, if you will. 4.5 seconds though, maybe we should start pushing energy for the one that's in the lead, in this case Gasly. And worst case scenario here, we put Piastri on the throne, so to speak. But I just want to show you just how little we actually gain over the course of a lap, even if we push energy. It's not that important around here, as it turns out. Did Gasly get DRS there from the back marker? Doesn't look like it. And with DRS, we are gaining. We're actually gaining quite a decent chunk here. Is Norris slowing down, maybe? Potentially conserving some fuel. But this could give us DRS now in the main straight for Gasly, and that is going to close down the gap quite significantly. Unless, of course, we end up losing any sort of time gained by backmarkers just being in the way, like happened to Ocon here. You can kind of see him. He's now 2 seconds behind his teammate. And even Piastri lost a bunch of time there. He's also now a second behind. But that's actually put Ocon now at risk. And this is kind of the issue that I have with this track. Like, if you catch the backmarker in the wrong position, it just costs you so much time. And in this case, it cost Ocon, as I mentioned, probably a couple of seconds. Well, I don't even need to say probably. It did, in fact, cost Ocon a couple of seconds. And for Piastri, it also cost him as well as Gasly. So I don't know what we can do here. I don't think we're catching Norris. I think for now, the fight here is going to be to ensure that Ocon doesn't lose out too hard to Piastri. That we secure that final podium spot. And even with that, it looks like we are going to have a hard time keeping up. But yeah, looks like Norris has got this one. Again, the back markers do need more work with how they just don't get out of the way on certain tracks. Every track needs an alternate pathing that back marker should slip onto once they are basically, you know, getting lapped. I know it sucks, particularly for the player too, since you can't really unlap as a back marker. But it needs to be done just for the sake of the frustration of losing races because the back marker doesn't get out of the way proper. This should be the final lap, unless I'm mistaken, so we'll have Ocon go full deploy. It says 3 laps to go, but I feel like we completed a lap while I said that. No, we didn't, so it's still 2 laps here. Okay, we can save a little bit of energy, get an overtake done. But yeah, Norris is unfortunately out of reach. Ocon is burning his hearts quite a bit here. Is Norris out of reach? Maybe not. 2 seconds now. Push, push, push. For Ocon, it's going to be the same push, push, push here. Just try and stay ahead. Use everything you have. For Gasly, we use this entire battery. I think it's going to be enough, however. And, or, yeah, you can already see we're back at 2.5 seconds behind. However, for Ocon now, he needs to push and create a gap to Piastri, because if he doesn't, Piastri is just going to straight up catch him. And tire-wise, we're very, very equal at this point, although the hard tire should have be better degradation-wise. So the question here is, are we going to get overtaken? I think the answer to that might be yes. We did not get pushed off the track, which keeps us in this. And it might be what gets Ocon the last podium slot here. It's still a good way to recon for the championship. Like, Norris gets a few points on Gasly, that's fine. I think overall we actually extend the gap more than what we lose. So I take this. It's not the best it's not the best result we've ever had, but a second and a third is very much acceptable.
What a masterclass.
Okay, so 18 points for us, 15 points there. If we check the drivers this weekend, as expected, as I said, Gasly didn't really lose out, just 2 points. Keep that up for a couple more race weekends, and he's going to be out of reach. And let's face it, Piastri is the biggest rival anyways. Norris is 3 race wins behind, basically. So it's going to have a bit of a tougher time. And we even extended our lead here by 5 points. We're about to secure both championships. Maybe by the time we get to Brazil. Well, not Brazil, Vegas. But Vegas has generally been the track I'm bad at. So let's see. Let's try and extend the gap by the time we get there. That would be key. We also do have a high number of spare components here, so we have no worries. For now, though, we are gonna just head into Mexico. I think there is some affinity loss there between Packard and Ocon. We'll have to just deal with that for now. And we are gonna go ahead and focus a little bit more research on cooling and airflow middle for the side pod. Should make a good car for next season. Apparently, we actually have a lot of research projects going, but I think we're just going to refresh all of these, honestly. With new ones, we might need 1 slot open if we want to do more research on the rear and front wing, but I believe we're done with those for the most part. So that shouldn't be necessary. We're actually doing that front wing right now. Let's see in 2 days exactly what the front wing has to say. Front wing research has been completed, and it was a CFD one, just due to the large gains here. And we have run 2 projects in each, which means that we have run CFD on front wing and rear wing twice, which means the next thing we would run a CFD on is the underfloor. And I just need to run this project before the end of the year. So let's just get started here with an underfloor research program. And I'm going to use that final CFD project on this underfloor anyways. So this works out just fine. Chassis done in 2 days. That's going to be a middle of the race weekend. Let's head to Mexico. Let's see if we can keep this lead or maybe even extend it. And in Mexico, Q1, Red Bull's pain continues. Sainz ends up top in Q1. But conversely, Norris is out. It was a wet qualifying. AI abandoned those. So we'll take this little win of ours at that little freebie. And Sargent with a 6th in qualifying. Q1. Bit insane. Let's see if we can keep that up. The Mexico GP here has been off to a good start. We have just run the same strategy like we did last time around with a light soft tire to start off with. We're going to go into a more aggressive medium, and Gasly has just taken the lead away from Sainz. Norris is making his way forward, but it's going very, very slowly. Lap 15 or 14 or so, and he's just fighting for 8th place. Well, he has gained 8 places, so it's not really going slow, but you get what I'm saying. He's a little bit behind us, and right now we're going to be able to maybe improve the gap a little bit to the cars behind, and hopefully we can extend our lead this race weekend. It's probably going to be a little bit rough, but as it stands right now, it's looking very, very promising. Our race hasn't really been going well. The medium stint hasn't paid off as we hoped, and you can kind of see the best example of that with the fact that we are 12 seconds behind Piastri, even though we've been running a medium and he's been running a hard tire. So it's not been great. Let's put it like that. Ocon now comes out probably between Hamilton and Russell, so not the worst position to come out in. But we're going to be trying to take care of these soft tires, which is going to be a little bit painful. And for Gasly now, we're going to be pitting him as well. And as you can see, Norris has already pitted and he's ahead of us. So Red Bull's showing dominance here. Maybe the medium was the absolute worst choice here. It certainly is kind of hinting towards that with, as you can see, Norris being a pit stop ahead of us. So we'll have to see what we can do here. I don't know if Norris has new components that maybe has sped him up a little bit. No, he's still running an old engine. So maybe it's our components, but we're basically at the point anyway, so we're going to be switching them out next race weekend. But we're definitely further behind than I expected at this point, I'll be honest, as Tsunoda now has DNF'd and Show is still a couple of laps behind. But yeah, we'll see if we maybe can get ourselves way up into the podium again, but it's not looking very, very promising, and it seems like Red Bull might get a little bit back into this. So yeah, this race definitely didn't go our way. Nothing in particular went wrong. We just don't have pace compared to the cars around us. Sainz is catching us at the moment, running over a second faster than us on basically the same tires. A little bit slower that lap, but still gained 4 tenths in the car ahead. And over a second, sorry, 8 tenths on Gasly. So definitely something here that is not working out for us. And it's not nice to see. Let's just put it like that. Norris is most likely going to win, which is actually the better option for us here because we do have a large gap in the champions, in the constructors. And basically by him winning rather than Piastri, the gap will still be big in the drivers' championship. So, bit of a boring and uneventful race here. We did have a little bit of problem with pit stops, but even that doesn't explain why we were equal by the first pit stop and they gained 30 seconds on us during that hard stint. I'm actually going to take a look at the numbers for this one because I'm very, very curious how much time they're actually getting. 4th and 5th though, it's not the end of the world. We're still going to be able to keep things somewhat close, but as I mentioned here, I'm very curious if we take a look at Norris. And as you can see here, he started on a soft tire. He was doing 21s, 22s by the end of this. And the second he went onto hard tires, he was doing 18s in a row for no real discernible reason. Like the temperature is the same. A little bit slower here again towards the end of the stint. But yeah, it was just a lot quicker. Like us on the medium are running aggressive for this entire stint. We didn't even get close to cracking the 119s. Like we have 2 laps on 119. And the man's running hard tires and doing it with ease. So yeah, no chance for us here, really. That's honestly good play Norris. And again, he didn't even have a fresh engine, so we might be in a tad bit of danger here. We still retain the championship lead. We still have 50 points hit for Gasly, which is a couple of race weekends. So as long as we keep the the loss there to a minimum, he's still safe. Constructors-wise, we still have 117 points on Red Bull, although they gained 10, 12 this race weekend. Again, it's not a huge deal. It's 4 race weekends remaining, 2 sprints, and if they keep the gain like this, let's say they get 20 points on the 2 sprint weekends, that is still us being safe by a good 50, 60 points by the season's end. So I'm pretty sure we are fine. But let's see what Brazil has to offer.
Copy.
So the sprint is getting interesting. We are expecting rain in, as you may have heard, just 4 minutes. And that is going to make things a bit interesting here. Around lap 15 is probably when we're going to go inters or maybe even wets here. Looks like it could be an interesting one. Now, Gasly had a pretty terrible qualifying, ended up in 8th, and a terrible start to follow up. So he's a little bit further down the order, which is not great for his championship charge. But with Hamilton having problems right now, we should be able to get the overtake here on Tsunoda and start chasing down the guys ahead. Basically, if we can get the pit stop right, that's going to be a lot of the work done for us. And also, energy is a bit of a problem around Brazil. And that is kind of also keeping us at bay here. For Ocon, he's just running with the guys in front. That's not really a big deal. But for Gasly, we have a lot that we need to do. His confidence is basically trash because of the fact that he has been in trouble. Although, I don't know what happened there. Suddenly we are ahead of Tsunoda. But yeah, 4 seconds now up to the Mercedes and Leclerc. Question, can Gasly close that gap before it actually starts raining proper? And we do need to pit. There's not really much I can do at this point other than sitting back and micromanage him. But it's just a sprint. I don't think it's that much of a big deal. Drugovich has crashed, which again tells us that McLaren is not having a good season. That's a pretty light hit though. Like he's very lucky that there's so much runoff. He's still in the race. He's gonna have to go and pit. And by just how slowly the rain goes up here, I think we are pretty safe at the moment in just staying out. It is probably going to be, as I mentioned, lap 17 here. Another 5 laps before we pit. And the question is just going to be, is it Inters? Is it wets? I think Inters is most likely going to be the best bet because, let's face it, there's more Inter laps than there are wet laps from this prediction. So the whole challenge for us now, as the game is struggling because it's changing conditions and it doesn't like it, is straight up just pitting at the correct time. Do we have another Schumacher crash cameo? We do. Drugovich versus Schumacher. Just bullies him off track. Okay. How are you behind him after you bullied him? Is your wing damage that severe? To be fair, you are 2 seconds behind the Sauber. 3 seconds behind the Sauber in just a few corners, and your tires are absolutely gone. So yeah, I can imagine that to be correct. Now, funnily enough, the game stops chugging, or rather, it doesn't chug as badly when I go up to 8 times speed. But of course, that means it's harder to follow. So I don't know if I like that. But yeah, there isn't really much we can do here other than just wait for the rain to get a little bit higher. We might have pushed our tires a little bit too much, but looking at the cars around us, there's very similar levels of tire destruction going on here. And I have a feeling that once it starts raining now properly, we'll be seeing a lot of cars pitting. There's actually a lot of cars pitting already. It's just 50 millimeters. I think we do one more lap because I think we are going to be gaining time here on the interrunners that jumped on too early. That's one. Okay, so Ocon is there. Where's Gasly? Gasly is there behind us. So yeah, we're going to gamble here on pitting this lap. Also going to deploy some of that energy. And see if we can come out ahead of some of these fellows that pitted early. Okay, so Ocon is now pitting. Gasly is going to be pitting later on. He's now 10 seconds behind, which is not great. But yeah, let's see here. Piastri is now flying by the main straight. Ocon is coming out of the pits. Nice pit stops for both of them. I think we're going to beat Norris out. And for Gasly, how much did you improve? Not a whole ton, but a couple of freebies in there. So nothing to be upset over. And we do now have a very slight tire advantage. I don't think it's going to amount to anything per se. But if we can get Leclerc and Russell with Gasly and maybe have Ocon take the win, that would also be huge. It is still DRS right now, which is a little bit problematic because they were able to overtake us with the DRS. That has put Ocon now in a bad situation. Okay, for Gasly and for Ocon, we are just going to have to run a little bit of top up. Like, there's no way around that. We don't have the energy to get overtake stun. So all in all, not the best race I've ever done. The water came far later than expected. But we might be able to have Ocon here launch a little bit of an attack. With what little energy we have. It might have been a little bit too soon, though, to try. And survey says yes, it was. This is the main weakness of our car, though, following all this in the rain. We're following actually Norris really, really close here. So maybe it's not as bad as we initially thought. Can we run Harvest while sticking with you guys until the final lap? Is that doable? And for Gasly, he's actually gotten Leclerc here. So he might be able to just use what energy he has now. And challenge a little bit into these corners. Although we are really eating that battery immediately. Ocon, we are actually losing out now that we did run full harvest, so we're going to have to tune him back because we don't want Sainz to overtake us. And for Gasly now, this is going to be the best opportunity that we have to get the overtake done. So let's actually use the energy in a good spot to, you know, get things sorted. For Ocon, unfortunately, this basically means though that we aren't catching any of the cars in front, I think. Last lap is about to start though, so we're just going to use energy. We are just going to use fuel. We're going to do the same for Gasly. And can we do anything here? This back mark is in the mix as well.
This is the last lap. Copy.
That is going to make life a lot harder. Can you do anything with the Red Bull? Not really. Oh, Gasly, that's unfortunate that you get re-overtaken by Russell. You did actually get Norris, though. Ocon, are you actually going to win? My TV direction is horrible, let's be honest. No, it's the wrong... You're behind the wrong McLaren. Okay.
And that's the checkered flag.
That is a little bit unfortunate. Gasly ends up 6th here. Piastri takes out a few points of him. So, not the best sprint we've ever had. But can't win them all. It's fine. The wet and the laggy game does... I just don't like the how badly the game runs when it rains. That's going to be my excuse. And in terms of the Red Bulls here, they do gain 1 point on us during the sprint. They do gain some points on the championship leader. But that isn't really a big concern. Piastri is the worry there for the championship. Red Bulls are constructors. So all in all, could be worse. But now though, we're going to tinker a little bit with the car here. I'm a little bit unsure which way to go though with these settings. So we'll just leave them at 80. And for you, it's kind of the same deal. So no real... Basically, we can gamble. Put him down to 60 or to 100. It's the... Basically kind of what can happen here. So we're just going to stick with what we see. It's going to be a dry race on Sunday. So we're just going to use all of our tires in this qualifying session. The qualifying for Brazil is complete, and with that we see ourselves in 4th and 6th. And Norris has actually eaten a penalty this time around, which is going to make things a little bit more interesting, I guess you could say. This is not really a good track for us though, I'll be honest. It has corners, yes, but it's not really a good one for our car, as the majority is just top speed. So it's a little bit unfortunate. Damage control is going to be the name of the game here, and with that we are going to underfuel. It is that easy, and we'll have to see what we do strategy wise. I'm a little bit tempted to maybe try something a little bit silly. Like the standard ones that we have been using here is basically a combination of, you know, just medium and 2 softs. It does work out fairly well. I want to see what we can do with a more aggressive strategy, you could say. What if we run these mediums on aggressive, run the hard on aggressive, and we make a literal aggressive strategy? This is still going to be faster. Now we could probably add a soft to the mix here, maybe. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. And it also looks like Ocon has 2 hard tires, so strategy-wise, again, this is also what I recommend everyone to do before races, and that is just to sit down, take a look at what you have available to you in terms of strategy options, and compare them. See what is actually the fastest. In this case, the medium into hard is actually equally fast as the soft tire, but probably more viable due to the fact that we have more medium available towards the end of the stint, and we're running these hards on full attack, which means that they most likely will have a little bit more tire available at the end, because degradation for a hard tire is usually a little bit less than what you see here. Now, can we do something similar for Gasly? Does he have 2 hard tires available? Answer is yes. So for Gasly, I think we're going to put him on the alternate strategy, which is basically start with hard. Then we run a standard medium in the middle of the stint. Then we finish off with another full attack hard. But yeah, you can kind of see here just how much more tire you would have available. And again, compare different strategies, see what would work out the best. Could be that a aggressive medium here could work out just fine. But as you can see, a full attack medium is generally going to be just saving you more time than running a conserve one, if you will. So that is kind of what we're trying to do here. There we are. And it is actually faster by 2 seconds than running this. But we can always adjust this strategy a little bit with the tires that we have available. And again, I think this will work out just fine. So we'll try a little bit of a different one for both of these drivers and see how things turn out. Under fueling, setup, tire strategy setup. We're experimenting a little bit here.
Welcome back.
But that shouldn't be a huge deal.
Win. Only time will tell. Here at the South
Now, where exactly did Norris end up?
It's lights out.
Right there. So he lost 10 places. As I have some violent hiccups. Third and fourth I'll be running right now. Third and fifth after getting re-overtaken. And honestly, the game here is just going to be to try and stay with the top, stay within the podium runners, take as much take as many positions as we can, limit damage here. If we end up fourth and fifth, that's acceptable by me. So let's see what this race has to offer. As per share, locks up and ends up in last place. But yeah, Norris actually lost the position here, so could be good for us. We'll have to see. I think he's still going to be on the podium by the end of this. He did take a penalty for probably a new component, so let's see exactly where he ends up. As we're getting close to our pit stops, we've had an incident, and who exactly has crashed? It's Bottas! I assume this is just a light... Okay. That would have been a hole in the side pod, I think, if that happened in actuality. I also did make a mistake with Gasly, so his degradation is off the charts because we ran him on normal for quite a while. But I don't think it actually has impacted his race much, so that should work out just fine. Hamilton still needs to pit. Sainz has pitted, but as you can see, he's going to a soft tire, so he's definitely pitting again. And for Ocon, we're actually just going to pit him on this lap now, so he can get going with those hard tires. And for Gas, we're going to keep him running a little bit longer. So where exactly is Ocon going to come out in this debacle? Probably behind Norris, but hopefully ahead of Tsunoda. Yeah, that's not a good place to come out. He's still going to need to put a little bit of work in to catch up to Norris. And Norris started way behind us. But Sainz here, like the Red Bulls are just flying now. And that is very, very scary. We still have race weeks remaining. They could still catch us. So we definitely need to sharpen up here and ensure that we get the most out of the car, if you will, today. And hopefully we will be going for a fourth and a fifth place. I think that is the most realistic one, unless we have incidents. And hopefully those incidents doesn't involve us. For Ocon here, we need to clear the blockades, if you will, as quickly as possible. And those blockades in this case are Drugovich, Hulkenberg, and Tsunoda. And the quicker we clear them, the easier of a time we'll have later on. So we're just going to push here the energy and try and use the corners here, which is where we have an advantage to extend the gap to the Aston Martin enough that he loses DRS. Meanwhile, Gasly is getting his pit stop done, and it is estimated to take about 23 seconds. And 23 seconds from the lead actually puts him behind Ocon and Hulkenberg, so that's not a good place to come out. And as you can see, that Ocon gets the overtake done. Tsunoda is kind of getting out next to Gasly, and he too is now going to have to do the same thing that Ocon did, which is create a little bit of living space for himself. So let's see if Gasly can get it done in the same manner. I think he can, and that is of course chasing down the top three here. Albon and Tsunoda surprisingly high up for the for where they usually would be. They're doing very, very well. And for Gasly now, can he create the gaps similar to his teammate? We are running the mediums here on full attack. That should make that a lot easier. Energy, though, is a concern, so we might just need to settle in it, run harvest for a couple laps, and then get everything back. Gasly did set fastest lap, however, so clearly not everything is going bad. We're just going to harvest a little bit here with Ocon as well. But we are going to try and move forwards and see if we can catch Norris and Sainz by the end of this. Getting close to the second set of pit stops, and we've had another incident to mark that. And it's once again Bottas with the second incident of the day. Is this going to be another, a little bit more brutal than the initial one? I believe both of them are still running. But yeah, Alonso and Bottas both there with some pretty major damage. Sargent also had his own minor incident with some major damage. So things are getting spicy. Let's just put it like that. Now, we are going to be pitting here. In this case, Gas is going to be pitting at the end of this lap. We are not too far off Piastri, I'll be honest, but we're pretty far off Sainz. And we're not going to be coming out ahead of Norris here. But Norris, if he wants to run those soft tires for 20 laps, that's going to be an interesting thing to see, honestly. So let's see exactly how that plays out for him. Gasly has a clean stop. He is going to come out, probably, as I mentioned, ahead of Albon, behind Norris and Hamilton, which is fine. It's a little bit problematic since we need to do overtaking, but it's not really a huge problem. And for Ocon here, I think we're going to stretch him a little bit more, probably 1 or 2 more laps, just to see if we can make something happen. And he, too, is probably going to come out ahead of Albon, similar to where Gasly is right now. We're just over 10 laps to go. Ocon has caught Norris here, who actually has developed a bit of a problem on his engine. He's still running that old engine, so you might actually see him take another penalty to replace that before the end of the season. But that does kind of tell us why he's so slow in comparison to his teammate. Is Sainz running an old engine as well, or does he have a fresh one? He has a fresher one, not a completely fresh one. But it could give us a little bit of a hint why he is as fast as he is. And for Ocon here, we're going to deploy a little bit because we want to get away from Norris if we can. And that seems to have been a success, so we're going to tune him down. For Gasly, we are still trying to chase that podium, but we are running pretty similar to the cars ahead of us, a little bit slower at times. Sorry, not the podium, the win. We're already on the podium. But even with that, it's going to be probably very, very difficult to catch them by the end of this. We would have to need to use energy. Energy is very, very strong around here. So we might need to just run a little bit of top up, which is going to slow us down slightly. But it might be enough that we can gain those 5 seconds if we get a little bit lucky here. So let's see what we can do. I don't think we're going to catch the first and second place. But 10 laps to go, 50% tires on Sainz here. His tires could fall off a cliff if he isn't careful. Last lap is almost upon us, and as you can see here, we are a good 4.5 seconds behind. We're actually gaining a decent chunk here. But final lap has started, and we're just going to have everything that we have here going for us. We're going to try and push. They have been DRSing off each other, which has probably had a bit of an effect on the gains here. But generally, we just haven't been able to compete, and that is fine. It is another race we were expected to win anyways. Bit of a shame they didn't take each other out. You can always hope. But yeah, the reason why we actually kind of caught up there by a second is just due to energy usage, and the second we ran out, back to 5 seconds behind. So third and fourth, a little bit better than the fourth and the fifth that I expected us to get. And Piastri does win, which is bad. We wanted Sainz to win, honestly, for the championship. Russell snatched his fastest lap. We did have it, I believe, up until this point. But yeah, there was potential, but we just couldn't convert this time around. Probably spent a little bit too much time overtaking in the midfield. But yeah, we scored 27 points. They scored 35. That's acceptable. Sorry, they didn't score 35. They scored 28. So Red Bull fight is good. The McLaren fight here with Piastri is kind of the problematic one. He gained 15 points this race weekend, puts him back up into second. And with 36 points between them, 3 race weekends, 1 sprint, Vegas coming up as well, I'm a little bit worried. I'll be honest. This could be a fight all the way till the end. Piastri has 5 wins, 12 podiums so far. 4 wins, 15 podiums for Gasly. 5 wins, 10 podiums for Ocon. So all in all, it's not looking terrible at this moment, but it's also not looking great. Constructors is looking very, very solid. 110 points, 3 races. This one is basically in the bag. Kind of what I expected at the start of the season when things started going well. But the Driver Championship is going to be the big one. I still think that there is a little bit of a chance of a fight here. If we have a single DNF, that might straight up just mean the end for us. So as you can imagine, that might be a very, very close fight. But yeah, a good race weekend. Maybe I should have gone for more of a soft tire approach. Could potentially have been helpful. But hindsight is 2020, as they say. And while Ocon did lose out a little bit here, he is enthusiastic across the board, even though our car performance is still shite. But yeah, that is it. The month is ticking over. We'll deal with the pit crew, I think, next time. We are going to go ahead and install replacement, manufacture a couple of new ones. And we're going to be finishing the season off next time around with the last 3 races. And then we'll see what we do with season 3. But most likely what I'm thinking is that if we are very, very dominant, I'm just going to sim through it and go over just why our car potentially is going to be a bit of a rocket ship. We're probably going to sim through season 3, to be fair. But I'll also be showing most of it, well, not most of it, a couple of races so you can actually get an idea of just how quick we actually are. But yeah, it looks good so far. Next time around, who's going to win the championship? Piastri is back in it. Norris is out. As long as we can neutralize Piastri, I think we'll be happy. But that'll be a problem for next time. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you around next time. Bye-bye.